Hey Ringside crew, welcome to the internationally known Dudes at Ringside podcast. And now here's your host, Joe Panther III.
Hello there, wrestling fans, and welcome to the third week of West Coast Wrestling Month on the internationally known Dudes at Ringside podcast. I'm Joe Panther III, and man, I'm so excited to have my guests on today. I had this young lady I don't know, 1 year ago, 2 years ago. So let's give a warm Dudes at Ringside welcome return to Jessy Jackson. Welcome back. I'm not too sure if it was last 2 years ago.
I'm trying to think now. Maybe it was 2 years ago,
Yeah, I was trying to look back on Instagram how long ago they give you the date. But I was
I can't remember it, but it's been a while anyway. It's been a while. Yeah.
So you have a co-pilot on the interview today. You want to introduce?
I've got someone helping me out today.
Hello. It's Trevor. It's Trevor.
It's Trevor. It's Travis.
Trevor. Oh, gosh, that was never gonna live that down. No. Don't call my man Trevor. He's like, he has a different name. Wrestling, everybody has a different name and the real name. Like, I've had wrestlers. My dad called me at a show over to Randy. Can you come here? And all the wrestlers just go, and they look at me, and I'm like, what? They all have wrestling names.
Yeah.
I'm just like, they all, because they don't know that side of me. Yeah. They don't know me outside, like the bubble, the box I'm in at the show, or the blue coat and the green glasses. It's like my dad just unzipped the side of me and pulled Randy out.
And everyone's gone, wait, what?
Who is this?
Who's this Randy guy? And why does it sound like he's gonna be wearing bow tie and a pair of 80s black glasses and the pants up to it? Yes, Dad. I'm like, Dad, what are you doing? What? You just call me Randy like that.
You don't do that here. You don't.
They don't know my real name. They're gonna freaking make fun of me. Half the world knows I wear green glasses and kayfabe broken.
Yeah.
Everybody knows.
Where did you come up with Joe Panther III?
Ooh, thank you for asking that. Originally, I was Joe, the junior, the third. Jess probably remembers. I was the junior in the beginning when I first started the podcast, because my grandfather was a professional wrestler in the 50s and 60s.
Oh, wow.
He wrestled under Vince's dad.
Okay.
And he wrestled under Vince's dad, and I learned very young about my grandfather because he passed away before I was born. And yeah, I was at the Garden to do a show, and a week later or something like that, my dad sat me down and took out the picture book.
Yeah.
Looking through the page, showing me my grandfather and showing me my grandmother, which was still alive at that moment. And he turned the page, and there's my grandfather with the mask on, doing his pose.
Yeah.
Those 80s, those
the ones that are like this.
Yeah. And he's standing there, and I'm just, all I can remember is me just it's like looking at a proton pack if your grandfather was Egon Spengler. Ghostbusters happened. I'm like,
Ghostbusters reference, I got you.
Oh my God, my grandfather, I felt like Phoebe going down the pole and seeing the proton pack. Oh my God, my grandfather was Egon Spengler. My grandfather's a wrestler. I mean, you're 9. How do you, what do you think? I don't know what I was thinking. I was so nervous, but I was excited. But then, as I got older, that was my braggadocious thing. Everybody's like, oh, I like Hogan, I like Macho Man. Oh, I think Andre's scary. And I'm like, my grandfather was a wrestler.
Yeah.
I'm like, next question, people.
That is cool. That's really cool.
Yeah. And it was crazy to think. And then I find out pandemic, I have 2 other family members that were wrestlers.
Okay.
Oh.
Pete Sanchez, which wrestled till the late 90s. He wrestled against all the Golden Era Hall of Famers.
Yeah.
And Frank Martinez, the Blue Demon.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What,
yeah.
Mexican Blue Demon?
Yeah. I don't know if it's Mexican, but his name was Frank Martinez, the Blue Demon. He wore a blue coat, shiny coat, and stuff like that.
Blue Demon?
Is it Blue Demon?
I don't know.
Demon,
It's Frank Martinez. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's cool, though.
Give me your phone.
Yeah.
I'm gonna search this.
So-
Right now, he's
I'm gonna search
Let's
straight
get into
now.
the history because we had Jess last time, and pretty much she gave a lot of the stuff that what we had before. So, Jess, what have you been up to now since the last time we were in the studios?
Oh, well, thinking about back to when we last spoke, gosh, it has been a while, hasn't it?
Yeah.
We've just been trying to kill it here in Mexico. I feel like we've really kind of built our reputations up here. I've gone from being like the new girl in Mexico to like quite a established person on the scene here. I feel like I've got a lot more recognition from that as well now. You know, a lot of people come up to me and like they want to wrestle to how I want to wrestle, which I never had that when I first got here. So I don't know. I feel like I've built up a little bit of respect here now, which is good, and it was difficult because it's hard to do that here. You know, there are a lot of like games and stuff that get played, so it's quite a difficult thing.
A lot of Mexican politics.
A lot of Mexican politics. It's quite difficult to navigate.
Especially when you don't speak the language.
Especially when I don't speak the language.
Oh yeah.
But I feel like I feel like the last time we spoke, I probably said to you that, you know, I want to build my name up here and I want to build my career and my image here. And I feel like I'm well on the way with that. You know, even like I was with a wrestler called Lady Apache, and she's a big.
I know her.
Yeah. She's a big legend on the scene here. And even when I was having a match with her, you know, she was like kind of respecting what, she was asking me, you know, what do I want to do? And when I was explaining, she was kind of like giving me recognition for what I was trying to plan. Like, oh, that's really good. And, you know, I like how you wrestle. I like how you think. I like how you put things together. So it's just, it's really cool to be a real established part of the Mexican scene here now. Be recognized as well so much. I mean, we was at a training as well the other day, and one of the girls there, she took a photo with me, you know, and it was just like, because she's quite new, I think, and she took a photo with me. I didn't know that she knew me, but then she was like, oh, Jessy, thank you so much. And it was like, oh, okay, this is cool, because like, I didn't realize that, you know. So yeah, it's definitely cool.
I heard about Lady Apache through Charisma.
Okay, yeah, she works PWR, right, in San Francisco.
Yeah, her and her husband, like, because I was like, she kept talking about her, and when the interview's over, I was like, do you think maybe you can put a good word into Lady Apache for us? Because I love me personally, because you know, with the old school family legacy I have, like, she kept talking about it, and I love old school wrestlers that are still in the game and still hitting that they still have all that tread on their tires, but you know that they're tired, but they still want to go. Yeah. But I'm like, I would love to hear a story. And the first thing she said is, gonna have to learn Spanish, Joe.
Oh, actually, yeah, that is true.
And then her boyfriend's like, or fiance now, or at the time he was her fiance, he's like, Joe, you're Spanish? You don't even know how to, you're Puerto Rican, you can't speak Spanish? And I was like, dude, really?
Do you know any Spanish?
I know some, like hola, ¿cómo está? Bien. I know how to say eta. I know eta, and that means eat. And I know how to say arroz con pollo. That's rice and chicken.
Yeah. Of course.
My favorite one. That's my favorite one to say.
Yeah.
We all like that when we very first got here as well. We were just using our phone.
We wasn't even that good, to be honest, when we first got here. No. We just do like muchas gracias and hola, but we would say it like hola, you know, hola instead of, you know, hola, not pronouncing the H.
They must love your accents in Mexico. They must be like, oh my God, they're British, but they're here.
Yeah, they struggle with my accent more than yours.
Yeah,
I think because mine's quite a regional UK accent, so I think I use a lot of slang words. And I speak very fast, whereas your accent is quite slow.
Well, I'm not from England. I'm from New Zealand. So I think mine's like a lot slower. And also I try not to use like specific words, because you like get really specific with what you say. Like,
yeah, I have how I speak, and it's very hard to get away from that. Whereas I think New Zealand is a lot more general though. And because you've been in the UK.
Yeah, I've been
your New Zealand accent is kind of
mellowed up.
Mellowed is the right word.
So that's where he gets his fans. If you haven't seen him already in the ring, you definitely have to go check out his content and go check out his matches. But let's get into you now, my friend. The new part of the interview of an internationally known audience, like the American-based fans from like the East Coast. If they're not familiar with you, like introduce yourself.
My name is the Kiwi Buzzsaw, Travis Banks. I've been wrestling for 15 years now. I started in New Zealand and I was there for maybe 5 or 6 years. And then I was trained in Japan by Masato Tanaka of ECW fame, and Akoda Haraka and Shinjiro Otani, if you know who they are, in a company called 01. Mm-hmm. And then when I finished my tour in Japan, I came back and I did my first tour of the States. And I trained with Davey Richards and Kyle O'Reilly from the AEW, Kyle O'Reilly. And then when I came back from there, I was back in New Zealand for like a year before I moved to England for like 6 years.
Yeah.
Where I met Jess. But yeah, and then when I was in England, I was Progress Heavyweight Champion, Fight Club Heavyweight Champion. I did PWG, Ring of Honor. And then I was signed by WWE, NXT. And then I was subsequently fired by it. And now I'm here in Mexico trying to continue my career here in Mexico.
Awesome. Oh, awesome that you're now like you're in Mexico and like, so is there like any Mexican wrestlers that you've been seeing on the scene that are on the scene, the indie scene or the AAAs that you would like to like scrap it with and you haven't got a chance to work with them yet?
Ooh, that's a good question, man. So for me personally, like I'm all about the business and like making money and like doing what would be cool for the fans and stuff. And like people used to ask me this when I was in WWE, like who would you like to wrestle in WWE? And I was like John Cena, Roman Reigns, the top stars, So like it was kind of like the answer kind of goes along those lines. Like I'd love to wrestle like Psycho Clown and Pagano, and then in CMLL would be like Mystico and Hechicero and like Titan and stuff like that. It's because those guys are like the top guys and they're workers, fantastic. And like that, and for me personally, as a wrestler, I always want to like improve and learn. And like even though I'm 15 years in, I still want to like learn from the best and like wrestle the best. So and see how I stack up against them. So like those like top guys in each company are the ones that I like look to when I'm asked a question like that. So.
I like my questions. Jessy knows my questions always they hit deep, but they're not hurtful. They're just dart. Like I know where I'm going with the questions.
Yeah.
A lot of people are like, it never ask a question with always ask a question with a period and a dot. And a happy ending, because I always do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. So with you guys being like a couple in like wrestling, is it harder to book a show knowing what he's going to be doing at like a separate show, or is it easier to do stuff like that with scheduling?
I mean, for me personally, I like it when we work the same shows. We're just there to support each other. It makes things a lot easier with, we go to the show together, you do your thing, I do my thing, we come back, we probably get some food after, it's all like, it's, for me, this is an adventure. And then to do that adventure with the person that you love spending your time with, it kind of just all goes together nicely. It elevates the experience for me. But there are often times where I'm off doing one show and you're off doing another show.
Yeah.
And I also, that's cool because we'll go off, we'll have our own experiences. We'll go to different parts of Mexico, and then we come back, and then we'll like
debrief.
We'll debrief. The travel is normally for a lot of shows it's through the night, so we'll both end up arriving back the next morning. We'll like order breakfast. We'll recover catch up on some sleep. And that's nice as well because we've had time away and then we come back and we're able to, talk about our experiences and then appreciate being with each other again. Yeah. So whatever the situation is, whether we're working shows together or not, it always ends up feeling kind of cool. And like, even if we're not on the same show, we're still like sharing the experience.
Yeah. It's cool for me as well for like, because because Jess is more newer into her career than I am, obviously. So like to hear her like experiences and like maybe like experiencing something for the first time or like having a really cool match. And to see you excited about wrestling is like one of the cool things for me when we like get back together and talk about it.
That's nice.
It is.
That's quite nice.
Is there like ever a time that you like done a match and it's either on the YouTube channel for the promotion that you're working with, or like on like since you have experience being in NXT UK, did you ever like do a show and then travel back home and then put on the network or whatever channel when it was on and just sit back and just watch it? Like, see, this is what I did. This is the match I did a few days ago, baby. Like that kind of thing.
Well, that was actually more at the start of our career, of our relationship.
Yeah.
I was on NXT UK, and you're like, I'm watching.
Well, there's two things really. So when we first started seeing each other, Travis was in NXT UK. One of the times within like the first couple of months, Travis had to go to America, and he wrestled the NXT where Rhea Ripley won the women's title. And I stayed up through the night to watch that NXT on the network. So then I think I stayed up till like 5 a.m. UK time to watch that. So I saw your match with Pete.
Yeah.
And then like immediately after I was messaging him like, oh my gosh, that was so good. And, you know, messaging him about the whole show.
You're still awake? Jesus.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, but I was messaging you like, fuck, it's a good match. Yeah.
And then you did Worlds Collide, the pay-per-view, and the same thing. I remember staying up and watching that with my mom, and I was really, really new in wrestling at the time as well. So I was just amazed by the whole match. This is the best thing I've ever seen. And then after that, it was obviously what happened with NXT UK. But then you know it was COVID as well, and you were uploading a lot of your matches to YouTube.
Yeah.
So we sat down and like we watched, because I didn't see any of Trav's earlier matches in the UK on the indies. So when you were uploading those to your YouTube channel, we kind of sat down, and I was curious because I can learn a lot from Travis. You know, he's been in the business a lot longer than I am, and you know he's learned from the best. So I can sit back and watch his matches and go, tell me about it. And for me, it's great to be able to watch what he can do. It's awesome. You know, I always enjoyed watching it, but also as well being able to sit there and go, you know, tell me about this, teach me about it. You know, it's a really, really good opportunity for me. So we did that a lot, to be honest. You know, I watched a lot of Trav's matches.
Just watching my matches.
Yeah.
Watch this.
I mean, we did that. This is my match with Ospreay. He's really excited about it.
Check this part out, baby.
Yeah.
Check this one out.
You watch this. And then the other thing that we do now is it's not so much like getting home and watching matches. It's more like getting home, and if there's clips up on Instagram, I'll be like, oh, this was a clip from my match. Watch this. It's nice that I can do that with you now, but then you know, you do it with me as well. So like, you know, there might be a highlight video or, you know, a few clips on Instagram stories. Mm-hmm. So we share that with each other as well, which is cool.
Yeah, that's the cool thing about being a couple in wrestling. Like, you'll be like, hey, look at this fan video that I found. I just did like a Hurricane Rana into like a backflip. And then he's like, you like, hold my beer. I got this. Fan video of me doing a flip-a-do off the top rope into a DDT. Beat that.
Yeah.
Well, the cool thing about wrestling, professional wrestling, like this business is like full of like great experiences and like journeys and stuff like that. So to be able to share it with Jess as well is like another really cool part of professional wrestling. Yeah. For me. And for you.
Yeah.
So with you guys after a show, like I always like talking about food. So like what is your go-to place in Mexico? Well, you can name drop it now because I love talking about local businesses and keeping local, the small business. Is it the business or is it a truck? Which one is it that you're like, you always see that place and you're like, we're going there and I don't care.
You know what? It varies. So it's weird. So we actually more like Uber Eats a lot than go out because, you know, you get back at like 11, 12 o'clock at night. You know, it's like, I really don't want to go out again. I'm in for the night. Let's get some food.
Also, we don't want to be walking around Mexico City at like 2 a.m.
Yeah. And like a lot of There are like taco places
Yeah.
local to us, which is cool. But sometimes you don't like tacos after a show is great. Don't get me wrong, but sometimes I want a big burger and I want like a triple stack burger.
Yeah.
Oh,
You know, it's,
Or that place we get this other place where they do like massive tortas like this full of chicken. They just stuff chicken in them.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
huge. It's probably like
Yeah.
let me come in. It's probably like this big.
like a burrito, or is it like a?
A torta's kind of it's kind of like a sandwich.
It's like a big sandwich.
It's like a big sandwich on like big thick bread, and then they just fill it with as many ingredients as you want.
Oh, Jesus.
It's
I would
awesome.
still be going. You'd be like this, like a South. What's his name? SpongeBob thing. 1 hour later.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's it.
2 hours
We get
later.
like everything on it. Avocado, chicken, cheese, onion.
Jess will be like,
avocado.
Joe, come on. We're gonna have. How are we gonna lift this to the table? Don't worry. You guys will help me. It's like we look like we're like people lifting a piece of wood to the register at Home Depot.
Yeah.
My arms are getting weak, Joe. Jess, you got this. You're a wrestler. You're strong.
Yeah. On the shoulder.
That's it.
I
On the
can
shoulder.
make it.
Fireman's carry it, you know.
You're from. I'm little. I have my 2 fingers at the end. I'm laughing. I'm like, ha ha.
Yeah.
You're not gonna eat this, Joe. You guys don't know this. I could eat. I have the body stomach strength of Slimer. I can just eat all day long.
Straight through.
That's good.
I'm the same.
It'll just.
I used to be the same, but
Yeah.
now it's a little. My appetite's been weird since I've been here.
Oh
But
jeez.
Yeah,
I know,
sometimes the food can be a little bit dodgy.
It- not even that. It just. I don't know. It just makes me feel.
Is it
just
heavy?
Makes me feel sick. you
Some
know?
Is
stuff's
the
pretty
food
heavy.
heavier here in the States for you guys? Because I know you guys are from like the UK and like places like that. So is it like is American food heavier for you? I guess.
You know what? American food is heavier, but in Mexico it's different. It's
Mm.
lighter. So
Yeah.
like we'll get McDonald's or Burger King,
Oh yeah.
and when we do that, we don't just get like a meal. We get like 4 meals. You know, like if we have a cheat day, we go like
We go
all
all
out, yeah. But we'll eat it, and I don't know if they use less salt or less preservatives, but it doesn't feel heavy. You know, we'll have like 2 burgers each, chicken nuggets, 2 sides of chips, fries, and like we'll both finish it and go, oh,
I'm still hungry.
I'm still hungry. Let's go get some chocolate. You know, like
Mm.
it doesn't sit heavy on us, and I don't know why, but Mexico feels better than the UK, and the UK feels better than America.
Mm.
Like in terms of quality of food. I don't know if in America they just pump it full of salt,
Oh yeah.
so that it feels like you eat it and you're like, oh, I need 4 bottles of water.
McDonald's does that. Sorry, McDonald's, if you're watching this and you just went not liking, dislike, boop. But they put there with their meat. They put like tons of salt, so that's why you have to keep drinking all the soda.
Yeah. That's literally it. Whereas here, it's not really like that. I
It's
don't feel
sugar.
like
It's also sugar too. They put sugar in their French fries or something like that. I guess in the salt. I don't know, something like that. That's what my dad told me. I was like, what?
I mean, I can imagine it's a lot tastier, to be honest.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You know, a lot more addictive.
So that it's funny. I earlier in the year I actually had another wrestler that's in Mexico. She's German. I don't know if you ever wrestled her
Miss
yet.
Cat?
Yes. Oh, I love Miss Cat. She's so
Yeah. She's awesome.
She's hilarious. We were giggling, we were joking the whole time.
Yeah.
Like, have you got a chance to wrestle her yet?
You did.
I've wrestled her a couple of times, I think. Yeah, she's really cool. She's a really, really nice person. She's easy to talk to. You know, she's fun to work with. You know, I saw her a couple of weeks ago actually. You know, it was just nice to see her. You know, she was at Neza because Pagano was there.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And she was just there supporting him. So, yeah.
I think that's when I interviewed her. We went live. We were live that day, and it was really funny.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I usually like with the podcast. Everybody knows I go live randomly because going live all the time now, it's hard to grab people.
Yeah.
Facebook is horrible with this. Like I'll go live, guys, and nobody will show up.
Yeah.
and my group is known as public, but it's like hard to grab people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to bring them
I
in.
think it's more of like people like to watch videos in their own time. So when it's live, you know, it's hard because people are, oh, I'm out, or, you know, I'm doing this, that, or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, and they would rather just say if they're working, you know, just get their work done and then sit down and watch it after, or watch it whilst they're in bed or something like that. You know, I think that's why it's hard. Because I even, like, speaking from like experience of when, say, I've seen people go live on Facebook or Instagram, you know, I might be like out sitting on the metro, you know, so I'm not going to be able to watch it whilst there's loads of people around.
Yeah.
You know,
What
like,
if someone says something really messed up, and then like the person on the treadmill next to you, like, what are you watching?
yeah,
What are you watching, man? Nothing.
Why is that guy talking about butts?
yeah,
I'm watching Bob's Burgers, you stupid.
yeah.
yeah. Well,
Oh my
actually,
god, you were talking about burgers? That could be a t-shirt you can make. Jessy's Burgers.
Jessy's Burgers.
we were on the train yesterday. Was it yesterday? And that old man was like, because you were watching some wrestling on your phone, and that old man was like,
oh, yeah, that's
that old
true.
man was like, I think they're luchadors.
Yeah, it was. I got sent one of my matches, so I was just like going through, you know, having a look at it, and yeah, and I was showing it to you. I was showing some bits to you, and there was a guy standing behind me, and he was like, I think he thought that I couldn't understand the Spanish, but I could understand what he was saying, and he was just talking about the fact that like we were wrestlers and whatever. He was just standing over my shoulder watching it on my phone with me.
No. And did you explain to him that you're a professional wrestler? Because I would have been like, yeah, bruh, I'm a wrestler.
Well, that's what he was saying. He goes, I think they're luchadors.
Yeah.
He was like, I think they are.
I was just doing like a subtle flex of like pretending not to like.
You try to show him more.
But you know, yeah, I am. That's me. That's me right there. You know.
Yes, you should be like, and then you should grab, if you had a backpack where you had 8x10 on, just be like,
sign up for him.
Merry Christmas.
100 pesos.
Yeah.
You should just randomly just do that to people. I had like tons of 8x10s of myself if I was a wrestler. I have like watching a clip, and they all you're a wrestler. You're not a wrestler, and just like, Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or just leave it on the pole next to them, and then just walk out and just look back because they're like, son of a you.
Yeah.
Doors closed on the elevator.
Yeah.
So,
Oh my
with
God.
you guys being like a couple in wrestling, is there any couples that are in wrestling that you've seen that you're like, man, I want to wrestle them, but like they're not in my area?
We were talking about this the other day. Like, who were we?
Who? Yeah, as a wrestling couple.
There's some in Mexico. There's who's one that you're sort of right, Flammer, Lady Flammer.
Lady Flammer and the Tiger.
Yeah.
That would be cool because Lady Flammer is the Reign of the Race champion.
Yeah.
In AAA. And we've wrestled the Tiger before as well, and he's cool and he's really good.
Yeah.
So that would be cool.
And there's AAA. Who are the champions there? I can't remember because we were talking about like how there's a mixed title at AAA.
There's a mixed title at AAA, and Lady Flammer and Abismo Negro are the champions. They're not a couple though.
No.
But they're the champions. In Consejo in CMLL, there's Catalina and Elemental that would say we would like to wrestle. I think that would be really cool. Trying to think who else really.
Yeah.
It's hard because in Mexico, a lot of the times there are couples, and then there are not. You know, like a month later, and everything's all changed.
Yeah.
It changes.
It's
change
over.
very quickly here. You know, it's 1 minute someone's married, and the next minute they are definitely not. So,
It's that picture of the girl, like she was married, and then it shows pictures of her on the beach with some guy posing. Like, it's like definitely that's not her husband. Like,
yeah, it's really hard to keep up with stuff like that here sometimes. You know.
Yeah.
It's quite funny. We'll be like, oh, you know, we would have been speaking to a couple like 2 weeks ago, and then fast forward 2 weeks, and this person's taking pictures with somebody else, and it's like, what? Did we miss something?
Yeah.
But yeah.
And it's, you know, it's funny in your case, you guys are like in wrestling. Is it harder to like ask wrestling couples questions about like, so I want to know if maybe we could work together in a match? And I know there's a lot of like a language barrier a lot of times with wrestling. Like, is it harder to speak to like the wrestlers in the Spanish community for you guys, or is it other ways you could find out how to speak to them?
So when when I wrestled in Japan, like originally, like I thought that was going to be the case, like the communication wasn't going to be there. But I've found that anywhere you go, wrestling kind of has a universal language of how to put matches together and stuff. So it's the exact same here. Like everybody kind of knows how to say moves, like names of moves and stuff like that. So if you have a basic understanding like that, you can kind of like charades a match backstage and talk about
Oh,
it.
jeez.
Yeah.
And like mimic it, or like, you know.
When we first got here, it was very much that. It was very much like showing clips on your phone of what we want to do, or it helped a lot if there was somebody there to translate or who knew a little bit of English, because I feel like to learn wrestling Spanish is actually quite easy. It's not that difficult, you know.
Yeah.
But the difficulty comes in when you're trying to plan a match, and then everybody talks so fast, and everyone's talking over each other, and you're trying to understand, but my Spanish really isn't that good. So if someone's telling me a spot and it's this, then this, then this, then this, like real slow, it's fine. But when it's like no, this, it's like I'm just gonna let you guys talk, and then
tell me afterwards.
Tell me after. Explain it to me after. Just, you guys do your thing. I'll wait.
Yeah.
And then explain it to me.
Yeah.
That's where it gets difficult.
To be honest, like I haven't found it, like now I understand a lot more Spanish. So, but not like I'm not fluent or anything, but I can definitely, like when somebody's talking about a match backstage, I'm like, oh yeah, I understand what you're saying. But they think that I don't. I'm like, no, I understand. It's fine.
You follow it real fast.
Yeah, I follow it real fast because it's just like rest. Like once you understand, like there's only so many different versions of like how the beginning of a match could go. Yeah. Like I understand what you're saying. It's fine. Yeah. Like, oh, okay. Yeah.
Whereas I'm like, tell me this detail. Tell me
the details.
Yeah.
So did you guys have you guys actually ever got a chance to come to like the East Coast to like come to wrestle, or is it you guys only been like in Mexico City and that part?
Which is the East Coast?
East Coast is like New York.
Yeah, I've
down to Florida.
I mean, not since I've moved to Mexico, have we? No, we went to Texas.
I've been to Texas. You've been to California.
I've been all over America. I've wrestled like everywhere. When I was Progress Champ, we did a lot of like tours in like New York and Orlando and stuff, and everywhere. So
we're hoping to.
Yeah, we want to.
We're trying to get stuff in the works, so that at some point we can.
You come to PA, let me know. PPW, Slatington, Pennsylvania. Their women's division is kind of like, since I've been going, I'm like, can Paul knock? We need more women in the division. We have Jessy here. Jessy Jackson would be nice to have against the women's champion Danny Moe. We need some nice.
That would be awesome. I would be all over that.
You know who I think you should fight? You two, Danny and Visage.
Okay.
Yeah, is that her boyfriend?
Yes.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Have you ever seen them wrestle? Have you ever seen Visage?
So I've never seen any of their matches, but I've always seen like clips on Instagram that pop up. You know, there are various wrestling pages that share like clips and whatever. So that's how like I know of them, because I've seen little bits pop up on my Instagram. Yeah. So from what I've seen though, they look awesome. So that would be something that
I'd be so happy, because I'll be like, and be like, sorry, Danny, sorry, Visage. I know you took pictures with me and signed my cards. I have my trading cards, but I gotta go for the other half. I gotta go with team dudes at ringside. Yeah.
I wouldn't expect any less.
Yeah.
I gotta, because they've never been on dudes at ringside. They've talked about it. I sent a birthday sticker for Danny, and she come on your podcast, and I'm just like, if wishes were dreams, I would already have Vince McMahon on the phone. Just kidding.
Yeah.
You can't say that.
I would have Paul Heyman before him.
Oh, I mean, that would be cool.
Yeah.
Paul Heyman. Oh my God, Paul Heyman would be funny. Be like, Joe, you see, your grandfather was a wrestler. Why didn't you go into training? I'd be like, Paul, I'm 5'1". And I heard so many things about those things under the ring called the plywood. One bump, and I'd be every bad meme that you've seen on the internet. Be like, Joe.
did you even try training or anything like that or no?
I did this stuff that shall not be spoken about when I was at high school, backyard
wrestling.
Yeah, but I didn't do the stupid stuff that people were using, the barbed wire and the.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was like we scripted our stuff kind of like WWE. We would like have story. Okay, Joe, you're gonna go do this, but I messed up, and I gave someone a fake super kick, and I pinned the guy and threw someone out the ring, and I ended the Rumble, like I won, and they were like, "Cut! What the hell are you doing, Joe?" And I'm like, "I won." They're like, "You weren't supposed to win.
You wasn't supposed.
You were supposed to get thrown out within 5 seconds." And I was like, "Oh man, that was not fair."
Give me this. Give me my moment.
Yeah.
I was like so excited. I was like, "Jin, I won! No, I did like the whole fall down, point at the WrestleMania symbol, and my friends were like, they're all just staring at me before they said cut. They're like,
we can't believe what just happened here.
cut. Randy just changed the script. Joe just changed the whole script on us. Really? And I was just like, I fell on my knees. I was like, oh my God, I won for my theme song. They for some reason had the theme song in the background. And I was just like, they're like, cut, turn the music off. What'd you just do? I'm like, I won. They're like, you weren't supposed to win. This wasn't even the last. You weren't even the last person coming in the Rumble. There's 2 more people.
Oh my God.
You just swerved me. You just WWE'd me. You just in my hometown. He just did the WWE hometown thing. So guys, this is gonna be a couple things. Here we go. Raise your hand if you would do a death match.
I've done. To be honest, I've done hardcore matches, but I haven't done like barbed wire and stuff like that. I've done thumbtacks before. It wasn't a death match though. It was just one spot in a match. And then the only other thing that probably came close was last year I had a match with this guy called Demas, and he's like a hardcore wrestler. And
I know Demas.
Yeah. So like he was like, it was a really, really good match as well. And the finish was me putting him through some glass. But the only reason we did that was because we wanted to kind of surprise the fans, because they know that I'm not really that type of wrestler. So we kind of wanted to like flip it on like for the finish and like surprise them, and I got like a massive pop that I did it. So like if I'm gonna do anything like that, I do it sparingly, because I like more of a traditional match,
wrestling style,
strong style type of wrestling.
Yeah. Now you, Jessy. Let's hear why Jessy won't do a death match.
I don't really have any interest for that. I don't know. I feel like I'm still trying to learn and improve as a wrestler. Just plain old wrestler, you know, and that's my priority right now. Is getting as many of those kind of matches in to you know, build experience in that way, because that's where I want to be. You know, if a situation called for it, where it was, I don't know, imagine if I was in WWE and they were like, we need you to do this super hardcore style match, not a death match, but like, you know, a hardcore style match for the women's championship. Well, then sure, you know, that's a little bit different, but you know, we're in Mexico, we don't have any insurance, which is a big worry. Like, it's a concern anyway, you know, when we wrestle day to day. And then if we was in America, the same thing, you know. So it's like, we've got to be, I don't know how careful you can be within wrestling, but I don't want to unnecessarily be cutting myself, because you don't know how clean things are here. You're in old arenas. You know, there are some arenas they're just mud and dirt and shit, stuff like that, and you end up getting cut anyway. Trav worked in an arena a few months ago.
I worked in this arena called Coliseo Cocalco. It's a really small, it's quite a famous arena here, but it's famous because it is pretty shitty, the arena. It's like dirt floors. It's horrible ring. But everybody goes there. There's great matches there. It's kind of like the essence of like lucha libre. So I've had like a lot of good matches there. But I had this match a few months ago, and I did a dive to the outside of the ring on the guy. And as I landed, there was glass in the dirt. And I threw the guy back in. I did a double stomp from the top. 1, 2, he kicked out. And I didn't think anything of it. I went back up to the top to do to do the move again. And as I looked down, there was just blood all over the canvas. And I was like, what the fuck? I was like, is he cut? And I looked at the referee, and the referee was like freaking out. He's like pointing at my leg. And I looked down, and there was just like blood spreading out of my leg. I was like, oh my fuck. I was like, oh no. So yeah, but that was the thing. Like when we got to the back and I finished the match, I was like, is there a medic here? And they were like, no.
Yeah.
And so the promoter like ran down to the pharmacy, got me like some like saline solution, and I literally just bandaged myself up, cleaned the whole thing up, got some alcohol swabs, bandaged my leg up. But I was like, fuck, and I've still got like scars. I still got the scars.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, it's just like that in itself being an accident doesn't sound fun. And for me, I don't think I would enjoy that kind of style of wrestling. It doesn't sound fun. Yeah, I hate to say it, but I'm a little bit squeamish.
Yeah.
I never used to be, but for some reason I am now. So I don't know. It's just not really my cup of tea. So if I don't have to do one, I'm probably not going to choose to do one. You know.
Yeah. So there we go. Next question. Next hands up thing. Have you ever thought like, okay, this is not going to be a good match or whatever, and you have to ask like I'm trying to think like I would ask this question like, if you ever like needed something before a match, which one of you would be the one that would go to for the advice?
Me.
Always.
Yeah.
Always.
I think that's just because I've been in the business a lot longer. Like I've kind of done and seen a lot of things. So I can I have a lot of experience in terms of you come to me all the time.
All the time. The thing is, I go to travel all the time for advice. So whether it be like we're in training or we're watching wrestling or I've done a match or I'm watching his match, there's always something that I can ask him about and pick his brain. You know, what do you think about this? Or in this situation, what should I do? Or anything like that. So then when I'm trying to plan a match as well, and maybe it's like an important match, or even like you said, if you don't think it's going to be that great, I go, okay,
what should I do?
How do you think I should plan this? Or,
yeah.
What would be the best way to get around this? Or, what should I put here? Or how can I make this flow better? You've been there and done it and kind of got the experience of and understanding how things work and how things flow a little bit better than I do. So that's why I go to you a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, the nice thing is if we're having a match together, and we're planning a match, I'll throw you an idea and you'll be like, oh yeah, that's good, that works.
Yeah.
And that's nice, we'll work as a team on that, and that's great. And
that's wrestling in a nutshell. Like because I've been, when I was younger in the business, there's been a lot of like veterans that will just like shut you down, and I remember how that used to make me feel. So like it's important for me to like, especially if like young people come and want to wrestle with me or you like in a match with us or whatever, I want to try and incorporate everybody's ideas to make them feel like it was a team effort and we put on a good match together, not just me telling them how to have a match.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's important for me to like incorporate people's ideas.
Yeah.
All right. So my last question for you both.
Okay.
Where do you see either yourselves in 5 or 10 years in the business?
Top of the Mexican scene, I guess, would be a natural thing to say.
Top of the Mexican scene. For me personally, I don't really have like a thing of like, this is where I want to be in 5 years' time. It's more about how much can I do in that time. So for example, like, can I go wrestle in Japan? Can I wrestle more, maybe bigger indies in the US? Can I get to the top of the Mexican scene in either CMLL or AAA? Can I become a champion in Mexico? Can I get signed to a company somewhere? It's more like I don't necessarily, I have high ambitions for myself. So as long as what I'm doing aligns with the ambitious nature that I have, I don't really mind what it is.
Yeah.
As long as there are opportunities coming my way, I don't have a preference. I'm just going to take whatever door opens.
Yeah. And for me personally, like because we've come here and we've really tried to like lay some like good roots here in Mexico. And for me, it's important that like, you know, I do really good work here in Mexico. And the goal that I had when I came here was I want to be considered as like one of the great foreigners that came to Mexico. Someone like a Love Machine, like Art Bar, or like El Macias, or someone like that are really respected like here in Mexico. You know, even like Eddie Guerrero in a sense.
Yeah.
Like I know he's Mexican, but like he was more in the States. But like,
Yeah.
you know, I want to be considered like one of those guys that came to Mexico and didn't just come here just for like a kind of like fly-by visit.
Yeah.
I want to be like entrenched in the scene, be a part of it, like an important part of the scene and part of the culture.
Yeah.
Because the Mexican scene, the lucha libre scene is like incredible for like stuff like that. The culture of professional wrestling here is like insane. Like the legacies of families and like, you know, the way they look at people with masks and the history behind all that sort of stuff is like it is incredible. And I want to really carve out a piece of that for myself as well here in Mexico.
Awesome. Guys, I want to thank you two for coming on the podcast. Right before we go, if either you like, if my fans want to follow you on socials, how can they find you?
Do you want to go first?
Yeah, Instagram Travis_Banks13. Yours is Jessica Jackson Pro.
Jessy Jackson Pro. Always full name me. You always full name me. You always full names me when we say our Instagram name. Do you go Jessica Jackson Pro? No, it's Jessy Jackson Pro. And then Jess Jackson XO on TikTok, Jessy Jackson Pro Wrestler on Facebook.
Travis Banks Pro Wrestler on Facebook and Kiwi Buzz from TikTok. Yeah, and don't look for us on Twitter because I don't like Twitter.
I'm there, but I stopped using it because I'm like, you know what? This is not my bag.
It's hard. Yeah.
And I feel like Threads is going the same way as well. It's pretty.
It is. My mom got mad at me. She saw the dudes at Ringside on Threads. She's like, "You really need Threads?" I'm like, "Yeah, I could post videos there. I could put like the actual video. I could put.
I've not used Threads since the first day I downloaded it. To be honest.
I don't know why I did it. I just clicked it and it was like, "Oh, you want it?" And I'm like, "Me, God, you're mean to me. Why would I want to do this stuff?" But I realized I could take this video link for the YouTube and put it there and say, "Breaking news! Look who's coming on in July," and they'll be like, "Oh my God, I can't wait to July!" Yeah. I want to thank you two for coming on the podcast. It was so cool to have you back on, Jessy, and I'm so happy you brought the cool guy in the class on the
Mr. Cool dude over here.
Yeah,
thanks for having us, man. We really appreciate it.
No problem. I'm Joe Panther the Third. Your turn.
Travis Banks, Jessy Jackson.
I'm Jessy Jackson. I was letting you go first. I didn't even look at each other.
I'm Travis Banks.
Travis Banks, Jessy Jackson.
And we will catch you in the next one.